Hello, Internet, and welcome to episode 222 of Verbal Graffiti with your host, Brian Glass, aka the B-Man, the People's Degenerate. Whoa, Nelly. Whoa, Nelly. This is episode 222, which means we must dedicate it to old Captain, my captain, Derek Jeter, number 2 of the New York Yankees. Thank you for all the great memories, and this episode is dedicated to you. With that out of the way, Michelle Obama is not attractive. She is objectively not pretty, and I am disgusted that the media tried to force her prettiness, her looks onto us for over 2 terms, 8+ years, up until current day 2026. Now, I'm not saying she's a hag. Of course she's not. She's our former first lady. You know, we have to hold her up with esteem. But there has been a lot of talk of late, you know, with what's happening in Iran. Hey, B-Man, how are you gonna wrap that present? Michelle Obama's attractiveness in Iran. How are you gonna do that, B-Man? How are you gonna do that? How's your mind put that together? Let me show you how I wrap that bow together, okay? Because I've been scrolling through the news. X, that's where I get my news, because that's 6 months ahead of wherever all the other news is about this conflict. Maybe World War III in Iran. Why are we there? And there's all these conspiracy theories and all this people trying to put the puzzle pieces together of why and what other nations are forcing us into this conflict and who's really pulling the strings. No, I'm not here to say what is and what is not going down in Iran, but there has been a lot of speculation and a lot of people saying to mistrust the government, that they're not telling us the truth. The media is not, they're not keeping it a buck. They're not keeping it 100. They're not keeping it above board. Well, of course they're not. And as an adult, and hopefully if you're an adult, because this is for adult audiences only here at Verbal Graffiti, you should at some point in your adulthood discover that the media and the government is not always truthful with us. Sometimes they hide facts. Sometimes they like to spin a narrative more so than telling us the truth. You know, balls and strikes, keeping it all real with us. And for some people, it might have been 9/11. Maybe it was Iraq War. Maybe if you're older, it was Vietnam. If you're younger, maybe it was that thing that happened in 2020. But, for me, it was Michelle Obama. When they came on the scene, the Obamas, and everyone was on their hands and knees and trying to convince us, Johns, the public, the plebs, the Americans, that Michelle Obama is the prettiest lady ever to walk the earth. No, she's not. No, she's not. My rebuttal to those... To people trying to raise her up in the media as the sexiest lady on earth is there was no guy, especially American, that ever pulled their pants down and hawked their dick loogie to a photo or an image or a video of Michelle Obama. And to me, that's the definition of attractiveness, of being hot, of being gawked at in the media. If regular Johns hawk their dick loogie to you, you are attractive. If they do not, you're not attractive. Now, that doesn't mean you're ugly. It just means you're not a sex symbol. And I'm of an age, I'm 41, where it's just over. I would do comedy shows, and I would, to this day, every once in a while, I'll get on stage, I go, remember Michelle Obama, right? Like, she's not pretty, correct? And everyone kind of tenses up in the audience. Like, are you really going there? And maybe they think it's, I don't know, maybe they think it's a race thing, but it's not. It has nothing to do with her skin color. She's not attractive. Not once have I ever tried to do my business to Michelle. I don't even think Barack does his business to his lovely, faithful wife, Michelle Obama. That's got to irk Barack Obama, former President Barack Obama, doesn't it? Yeah, they got married when they were young, and then Barack leveled up. Barack turned himself into a sex symbol. Now, I'll tell you, now, I might be wrong as a heterosexual guy, but I never viewed Barack Obama as an attractive male either. I don't think either of them were attractive. So I think looks-wise, Michelle and Barack were on the same level, and that's probably why they got married, intellectually and attractiveness. But I will admit that I'm probably in the minority because a lot of the babes I know do tell me, no, Barack Obama, he's attractive. But I get an inclination, a feeling, a tingling in my ball sack that when babes say they were attracted to Barack Obama, like back when he was president, it's because he was president, because of his aura, because of his position of power, which we know the babes love. Babes love men who have power. That's why I'm not loved, because I have no power. I have no influence here at Verbal Graffiti or in real life. But I think that's where his attractiveness stems from, because other than being president, if you take that away from him, he's just a skinny, lengthy, goofy guy with big ears. And his wife, Michelle Obama, she's almost got that V-taper chest, like big shoulders, big arms, a wide face, She's intimidating. She's an intimidator. She really is. You put Michelle and Barack in a room together, I'd be more scared of Michelle than I would of former President Barack Obama. And I should say former First Lady Michelle Obama, but that's a mouthful. And I slur half of my words anyway, so I'm not going to do that. But it's got to bother Barack Obama because he leveled up. When they got married, they were at the same level. And this is why I've always respected Howard Stern. Even though he's fallen off since COVID. We could admit that. But if you're old enough to remember his movie, the Howard Stern Project or whatever, the movie that was about Howard Stern and he played himself in the movie, he talked about how it was so frustrating that he married his wife, but then he became famous and his radio show blew up after his marriage. And then all these cutie patooties were throwing their panties at Howard Stern, and he had to reject them because he wanted to stay faithful to his wife. And he would bitch about that on his radio show. And I always respected him. Not that my respect means anything. Not that I actually did anything for Howard, but that he was open about that frustration. That almost that curse of, now I'm famous. I leveled up. My wife hasn't. But I have to stay married to this hag because I loved her, because she loved me when I was nothing. When I was just at some local radio station, when I wasn't syndicated nationally. And Barack Obama, it's got to be the same way. Got to be the same way. He's married, all right? And he levels up. He becomes president. And there had to have been meals in the White House where he looked at his wife, former President Barack Obama, that is, and goes, why are you still here? I lapped you. I lapped you and your success like a decade ago. And you're still with me? You should be on your knees sucking me off every chance you get. Every time we're in the same room, whether there's media or diplomats or whomever, or White House, our cabinet members, you should be sucking me off. You should be sucking my entire cabinet off. The entire Department of Defense, you should be sucking off. The fact that I stayed with you after I leveled up like 6 or 7 times on top of you, and I stayed with you, you should worship the ground I walk on. The fact that I haven't kicked you to the curb. The only reason why we know who Michelle Obama is because of President Barack Obama. I don't think my wife would like me if I became president, because I would vocalize those thoughts to her. Every time we'd be in bed, I don't know, the Lincoln bed, we're going to be like, I'm president. What have you done with your life? All right, I know we're a couple, we're a team, but I'm the president. I'm the one who put my hand on the Bible. I'm the one who got inaugurated. Suck me off. I prefer eating sniz more so than getting sucked off. So I'd be like, yeah, let me get at that sniz. All right, we're moving forward. I also believe that presidents should not live 5 years past being president. I also saw that Barack Obama he tweets. I know Donald Trump tweets, and that's kind of all he does. But it is odd that you become president, and then you're not president, and then you just live the rest of your life doing nothing. You've reached the peak of your life. You're in the White House. You're president. After that, you should really walk out into the woods, walk out into the Atlantic Ocean, and be done with your life. Your life doesn't get any higher than being president of the United States. And we have Bill Clinton, W. Bush, we have Obama. Is Carter? I think Carter kicked the bucket recently. I think, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, Clinton and Obama and Bush, they're walking around, tweeting and going to ball games. It's kind of unbecoming of who they are. And really, Bill Clinton is still alive. He was president 20 plus years ago. Sorry, I have allergies. I'm itching my nose. Yeah, that should be a rule. You're president. Once you're out of office, you get 5 years to do a victory lap around the country, celebrate being a winner, and then keel over. Well, what else you can do in life? I don't know. It's weird. It's very weird seeing a president post-presidency. The obvious question that you'd want to ask any of these presidents is, now what? Now what do you do? I mean, Jeffrey Epstein isn't around anymore, so what do you do? Nothing. That's got to suck being post-president. All right, moving forward, onward and upward. All right, this next one comes to it's from the subreddit Holy Shit History. All right, palace plot of Renyan year, that the year 1542, was an attempt by 16 imperial Chinese palace girls to kill the abusive emperor. They botched strangling him, just incapacitating him. During his incapacitation, the empress had all 16 girls and an innocent rival concubine she also accused slowly tortured to death. Now, there's a whole post about the actual incident and what went down, but it's a long post, and this ain't a history podcast, so this is the gist of it. And yeah, I read a holy shit history post like this, and it makes me skeptical of all history. You ever watch the news? You'll be scrolling through the internet, or somebody will come up and they'll try to tell us what the weather was on a certain date in the year 1850, and your immediate reaction is, how do you know that? Now, how do you know what temperature was on a certain day 200 years ago? Right? That's complete bullshit, as is this. How do we know? How do we know that in this year, 600 years ago, that these 16 floozies, wannabe empresses, snuck into the king, the emperor, they snuck into his bedroom to try to strangle him. They failed at the task of committing the assassination. The empress found out about the attempted murder and then had all 16 murder assassinators killed to death slowly in like the town square. And this happened in China, and we're reading about it in English on Reddit, and then we're supposed to believe this actually happened. See, when people question the Bible and the legitimacy of it, I get it. But we should also do the same of history. Like, I read this and I don't know if this happened or not. I read this more like a fable that you read to a toddler as he or she's falling asleep. Yeah, you read her a fairy tale as she falls asleep. That's what I just said, B-Man. Why did you repeat it? I don't know. I'm trying to get my thoughts together. But that's what this is. Like, I'm not going to pretend that this is real history because we don't know. We don't know what was happening in China 600 years ago. Now, you can tell us we have all the documents, but again, they're written in Chinese. And right now, I'm speaking English. Now, yeah, there are people who can translate all the information and the primary documents, but some of it gets lost in translation. Great movie, 2002, Scarlett Johansson. Whoa, what a babe. What a babe in that movie. But did you ever read that? You'll read history. You read a history book, and you have the exact dates and exactly what happened and what the fallout was and the time and who was involved, and you have quotes. You have exact quotes from 600 years ago from somewhere halfway around the world, a country we probably didn't even know existed at the time, and we're supposed to take that as fact, take that as real information. I'm sorry. I read this and it reminds me of the media telling me Michelle Obama is a hot babe. No, she's not. Absolutely not. I won't link it to her. Neither have any of you. So if I'm not going to believe what the media told us 15 years ago, why am I supposed to believe whatever I'm reading in history books or on the History Channel or whatever YouTube? What's that famous history podcast? The Dan Carlin podcast? The one he does the long form podcast about history? I don't believe any of that. Honestly, I've said this before. Dinosaurs aren't real. All right? And whatever happened in this concubine in 1545 or whatever year, don't call me a conspiracy theorist because I'm skeptical of it. Right? You really want me to believe that 16 babes in China living in some combine got in a room with the emperor alone and couldn't kill him? I'm calling bullshit on that. I'm calling bullshit. And if it did happen, that's a red mark on women's history. A lot of the babes complain that they got the right to vote, almost 50 years after blacks got their freedom. I shouldn't say blacks, but the African Americans got their freedom after the Civil War. Suffrage was given, I think, in 1919, perhaps, in America. And a lot of babes will bring that up. Hey, we got our right to vote decades after African Americans got their right to vote. Or you see an event like this and you go, yeah, well, maybe that's on you. Maybe that's on you. If it's 16 against 1, even if he is the emperor, and you're just some of his babes, virgins living in his concubine, you can't kill him while he's sleeping. Maybe you don't deserve maybe you deserve the right to vote. But maybe there's a reason why it took till 1919 in America to get the right to vote. That's embarrassing. That's a knock against your sex. 16 against 1, you should be able to kill anybody. And the fact that you failed, allegedly, in this fable, you deserve to get killed by the empress. Good for her. That's you go into a room, 16 women or 16 people in general. I don't really care whatever your sex is. And you go into a room, 16 of you, with the intent, we're going to kill assassinate the person in this room. The emperor, he's sleeping. We were going to kill him. You guys say, hey, if you fail, you got to expect that you're going to be murdered. A slow, painful death in the town square where everyone can see you. Because you deserve to die. When 16 against 1 and you lose, you can't live after that. Similar to being president of the United States. What are you doing? Living after being president of the United States. You've done it. You were president. There's nothing else to live for. Really? Same thing with this. You attempt an assassination of a leader, of your emperor, empress, president, king, whomever it is. You come at the king, you best not miss. If you miss, you got to give up your life. So good on the empress for killing all 16 of these failed assassinators. Man, well, the older I get, the more skeptical I become of all history. Of every story that's told to me, I raise my eyebrow. I give, what's that guy's name? The Rock. Remember he would raise his eyebrow? You smell what I'm cooking? I'm smelling what you're cooking, and I don't believe it's what you're cooking. All history is a lie. Is a lie. Because really all it is we're retelling the story over and over. We're playing telephone, but everyone's giving their perspective that makes them look good. And then over time, over decades, over centuries, we morph it, and it gets morphed into something else, and it turns into this type of fable where 16 girls are going into a bedroom and they don't kill the emperor, and I'm supposed to believe that happened 16 years ago. Sorry, 600 years ago, and I'm supposed to take that as fact? I ain't a sucker. No more. I'm not believing any of history. Let's go look at something. Now batting, number 2. Derek Jeter. Oh, those were the days. Those were the days when we were winning, and winning some more. That's all we did as Yankee fans was win. But now that it's 2026, all of us Americans are living in loserdom. Unless you're one of the lizard people or a member of the government, especially the federal government. It occurred to me, I had an epiphany 2 nights ago. The B-Man, I read a headline that there was a terrorist. It might have been in the Middle East. It might have been a cartel member in Mexico. I don't remember the name, partially because I don't have a good memory, and also I'm not cultured. So all those Middle Eastern names are hard for the B-Man to remember. But one of these guys was killed by the U.S. government, by a missile or a drone or some type of military weapon. And the headline was saying this guy was a terrorist, whatever the name was, and there was a bounty on his head for $10 million that the U.S. government had put the money up for. And it occurred to me that's a gangster move. That's the definition of being a gang member, is putting a bounty on an opposing member's head, on his life. And that's what the U.S. government is doing. And it made me giddy a little bit. Maybe I got the tingles in my ball sack that we do that as a government. It's kind of crazy when you think about that. That the government, they'll put out a list of the most wanted criminals, and they'll pay you money if you find those criminals, and you're allowed to off them, and they'll pay you to do so. And that's what every gang in New Haven, Connecticut, any inner city, any metropolitan area, Chicago, or St. Louis, you name the city, New Orleans, wherever you live. You have gang members, wherever they're at, whoever they're competing against, they're putting bounties on each other's leadership's heads. Right? That's what gang members do. They say, hey, oh, the leader of that gang, if you kill him, we'll pay you $10,000. Well, the U.S. government, they're doing the same thing. Oh, we oppose that government, that organization. If you kill their leader, we'll give you $10 million. The U.S. government, when you really look at what the U.S. government is doing, they're gang life. That's what they're doing. The U.S. government is playing gang life. Oh, there's somebody we don't like. There's somebody who's threatening us. Well, if you off that person, we'll give you $10 million. That's the bounty. That's really what it is. Pretty wild that the U.S. government is a gang. It's a mafia. All right? All those Italian mafia movies, well, there ain't no bigger mafia than the U.S. government. And they got the muscle, they got the weapons, they got the money, they got the treasury to pay you off if you want to play that game of gang life. There's something to think about. Had that epiphany. Like, wow, we're really, not me, but well, I guess some of our tax money, but some of our tax money goes to pay off people who kill our enemies. Crazy. All right, moving forward. All right, this next one comes from, if I can open it, 1, 2, All right, open my phone. All right, this comes from a subreddit, Facebook. Everybody loves Facebook. Facebook feed is now full of AI slop. Most post videos are now AI generated. Has anybody noticed this? Even though I give feedback that I don't want to receive that kind of garbage content, I am still bombarded with it. I hear you, and I give no comment. But I do hear where you're coming from. And I give no comment because I don't often go on Facebook. Now, I post on Facebook nearly every day. But when I post videos on Instagram, Reels of Verbal Graffiti, it automatically goes to Facebook as well. So I hardly ever open up Facebook. So I can't really speak to whether Facebook is bombarded with AI slop. But it is every other platform I use, whether it's X or Instagram or Reddit. Yeah, most of it now, I'd say my feeds, algorithms, at least a third of what I see is AI slop. And that is the term. That is the term of 2026. Everything is slop. It's slop. Are you getting mogged? Are you maxing, looks maxing, hag maxing, weight maxing, career maxing? Everything you're doing, you got to max it. And then you got to mock everybody else who's doing what you're trying to do. And then any type of content that's being put out is slop. Whether it's video games, social media, whatever it is, it's AI slop. That's a big sloppy Joe. And so I'm not on Facebook, but I get it. And most of what you're looking at probably is AI slop. So I get why you're bitching and moaning and coming to Reddit to complain about it, which is very meta. Going on Reddit to complain about what you're seeing on Facebook, that's meta. Hey, you're in the online world. A tip of my penis for you for escaping real life. It's probably an indication that you should get off Facebook. If you're complaining about the AI slop on Facebook, that's a clear indication that you're spending too much time on the book in any type of social media. It's our fault. Right? Everybody complains about AI, artificial intelligence, AI slop, because it's us versus them. So if you go online and you complain about AI slop, you're going to get upvoted. You're going to get karma. If you talk about it in real life, everybody's going to agree with you, tap you on the shoulder, go, yeah, I hate AI slop too, because it's us versus them. So, of course, we humans are going to take your side when you're bitching and moaning about AI and their slop. But it's our fault. It's our fault. And when I say our fault, I mean our species, humans. We all need to look in the mirror. And I know it's not easy for many of us to do so, right? Because we're ugly. We have wrinkles. We have blemishes. We have oil. We have gaps between our teeth. We have bags under our eyes, receding hairline. It ain't easy to look in the mirror these days. Right? You ain't pretty anymore. It's not an attractive sight. It makes you cringe, right? Similar to a straight guy seeing gay sex when you don't expect it. It's like, all right, all right, do what you do, but same when you look in the mirror. Just look at yourself. I'm doing it right now. I'm looking in the camera. I don't want to do it, but I have to. And as humans, we have to look in the proverbial mirror and admit that it's our fault we're seeing AI slop. Because we, as humans, did not create slop that was good enough to not be taken over. Because we have to admit, we all complain about AI slop, but we have to admit, before the AI slop came into existence, into our feeds on our social media and our internet, we were the ones creating the slop. Like before AI became a thing, your feed, your algorithm, the content you were watching and or creating was not providing wisdom for humanity. None of us were Plato. None of us were Michelangelo. We as humans were creating slop that was sloppier than the AI slop that overtook the slop we were creating. And that's the only reason why AI slop exists, is because our slop was so sloppy as humans that there were humans with some intelligence that came along and go, wait, human slop is the worst slop there is, so we need to create slop that's smarter than the human slop. So it's all our fault. The content humans were creating, let's say pre-2020, nothing about it was awe-inspiring. It was a time suck. Everything it did was killing brain cells. It was not making you an intellectual. And the human slop was nothing. It was nothing to brag about. It had to be replaced. And as humans, we have to admit that we're wildly inefficient. You think about most humans have to sleep, maybe 7 hours per day, per night, to recharge and re-energize the body to go about a whole nother day. Imagine your phone, you could not use it for 7 hours a day because it had to recharge for 7 hours to be used for, the next 15 hours. As soon as there was a device that didn't need to be recharged 7 hours in a row, you would throw your phone for whatever that new device was. And that's basically what AI is. AI is more efficient at the slop than humans are. AI doesn't need to sleep 7 hours per day. They can just keep going every minute without any rest. So of course they're going to overtake humanity because the AI is more efficient and doesn't need as much recharging as humans do. Does that make sense? I feel as though I use the word AI slop and humans way too much in the last, 10 minutes or so. But really, it's our fault. It's our fault. We were creating content. When I say we, I say humans in general. If humanity was creating such memorable, awe-inspiring content, AI would never exist. But we were just creating dog shit for, 200,000 years? How old are humans? Let's go biblical. So over 2,000 years, humans have been alive and creating content. Of course, it's been dog shit. Thank goodness AI is coming along to just mog all of us. We need it. We need AI to take over the slop that humans are creating. And I'll be honest with you. I'll give a tip of my penis to the AI in regards to AI when they create their art and their humans. None of the humans AI is creating has cellulite. You can't complain with that. You can't complain about that. Like, humans, we're just slops, rolls of cellulite and divots and all this disgust. AI created humans, perfection, perfect proportions, no cellulite, no dimples in the ass, no moles, no acne, no boils, no receding hairlines. They're creating images that you can spend an entire afternoon gooning to. And I'm not going to complain about that. Honestly, we should be we should be upset with ourselves. Humans, not with the AI. We were not proficient. We did not execute. We did not create fast. We dropped the ball. We dropped the ball, and AI's picking it up and bouncing the ball better than we ever did. Now, how can you complain with that? Now, yeah, we're always gonna give them the stink eye, AI that is, because they are our adversary. All right, don't let the lizard people fool you. AI is our adversary, but at the current state of our lives, I gotta admit, the adversary, they're doing it better. And if they're not, they're going to be very soon. And as an American, and if you're an American, Americans like winners. So if you're an American, you should not be complaining about AI because they're winning and they're going to win. As Americans, I'm going to side with the winners because that's what Americans do. So I side with AI. Go suck a fat one.